Hey guys, this is Anon, and today I have a first look at the Strv 74a2, or Strv, whatever you want to call it. I think a lot of people call it that just for brevity. And this is going to be our very first Swedish tank to hit Blitz. If you haven't heard already, it's going to be a mission-based event for the Blitz Fair that's coming up here on December 19th starting. So you won't have to buy it if you don't want to. You can just play out the missions and get it for free. This is also a tier 6 medium tank, and it's got some interesting qualities kind of on a lot of sides. I think in general it's a bit on the vanilla side, but the good news is that it's an autoloader, but does have the typical kind of trade-offs with an autoloader, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about the gun first. It's a 3-shell burst autoloader. The base clip reload is just over 14 seconds. Once you max it out with provisions and equipment, it gets it down to 13 and a third second, which is certainly slow, but not terrible, not as bad as some other tanks that we've seen introduced in the American line. Each shell averages 160 damage, which is pretty typical for tier 6. So that gives it a pretty solid burst damage, not necessarily insane. It does make the DPM pretty bad overall. It's on the bottom of the line for tier 6 mediums, but that's what we've kind of gotten used to seeing with these autoloaders as they come out. I feel like the good news with it is statistically it's very, very similar to the new American T71, which for me is an incredibly underpowered DPM-wise gun for tier 7, but we're getting it at tier 6, so I think it performs a lot better. Even though I'm going to talk about a lot of vanilla stats, I've actually had really, really good luck with this tank. I think it's because that autoloader really just plays better at the low tiers, and it lets you kind of use its strengths and ignore some of the weaknesses better than you can at some of the higher tiers. So I haven't had a hard time doing good damage with it. Alright, so looking at the rest of the stuff, we're pretty standard on 950 hit points. That's nothing too great or bad. It has actually some pretty good hull armor at 76 in the front and 63 in the sides. That's actually pretty high in the class, and what I really enjoy on that is the 63 side and rear armor, because as you can see here, it lets you side scrape really well, especially because it's so long and has that front-mounted the front-mounted turret, I guess, makes it a little bit challenging, but still, the sides, when you're at tier 5 and 6, it does really, really well with that. So, something a little bit rare. Gun depression is okay at 6, nothing really to write home about that, but it'll let you work the ridges a little bit if you need to. It's not necessarily a speedy medium. Top speed of 45, traverses at 40 and 48, which the 48 turret traverse is actually pretty good, but that's again what we're seeing with a lot of the autoloaders, so I'm just calling this in line with a lot of other tanks. Pretty poor power to weight ratio, so even though you have that 5 kilometer an hour top speed with a power to weight ratio of under 13, it's not necessarily going to be to really run around all over the place. So, but again, with that autoloader playstyle, it's really about burst damage and getting under cover. So not a lot of times you're going to have to run away completely. You're just going to have to make sure you have good positioning to begin with. So, hopping back to the gun, penetration values are on the low side, but not horrible at 135 and 180. Neither of those numbers are best or worst in class for a tier 6 medium, so I don't think that's a major issue. Aim times are pretty standard as well. You're looking at 0.4 dispersion, which again isn't fantastic, but not necessarily horrible. It kind of puts it in line with the American medium tanks at this tier. And with the armor profile, I think that is kind of appropriate. Also similar solid V range at 250, which is actually tied for best in class at tier 6. So throwing some optics on there should give you a little bit of an advantage there. And I think that's it. Oh, I missed, I went full noob in my review here. I missed the turret armor as I was talking about this. I got distracted. Turret armor is average at best at 76, 76, and 51. That puts it in line to pretty much not have much armor. But the turret, for me, is really small, and it does have some angling, so I think you'll get some troll bounces, but it's not something I would expect to just ricochet a lot of shells off of. So, Anyway, you can see where the burst damage I think does really well, and especially good in late game situations if you can put yourself in a good position. This was a pretty difficult game, and I was able to kind of work myself back here and just play it nice and slow. I think this tank is just maneuverable enough that in these situations, as long as you're really aware of where the tanks are, you can still move around and give yourself enough time to give a clip reload. 13 seconds isn't insane. I mean, there are single shot tanks that are slower than that, so I feel like that makes it a little bit more manageable. Yeah, it's not as fast as some of the really rapid fire autoloaders, but at the same time, it does more damage, so it's not necessarily a huge deal. And you can see here where that whole armor is giving me some nice bounces. Yes, that's a lower tier tank, but I'm getting some nice angling, and he's having a hard time getting through. I think there was some AG in there too, but whatever. It's medium tier. So the other nice thing you can see with this, and one of the things that people always ask the most, is credit coefficient. I don't know the exact coefficient, but it does earn really pretty nicely. I know there was a mission in there, but I would say on average, I've been, with premium time and fully equipped, I've been averaging about 50,000 credits. So for tier 6, that's not bad at all. Okay, so we'll do one more game just so you can get kind of a good feel for this tank, especially since everybody has an opportunity at it. This game is actually funny because I was putting this video together this morning and thinking, you know, I've got some okay gameplay for my second battle, but, you know, I'd really like to have another ace or something that is really nice and shows the versatility. So I'll go play a couple, and then I played one game and it's this one. So it just kind of worked out convenient for me. So I'm just kind of working my way in slowly. I don't consider the Stridsvagen to be much of a frontline tank because the turret armor is not particularly strong. But it is a pretty good spotter. So that's why I'm kind of playing it slow. And since I'm top tier, it gives me a little more versatility with that. So now that everything was spotted kind of all the way back in this corner, I'm hoping they will poke back out. But now since my team has moved up quite a bit, I'm going to go ahead and start to work in towards the flank here because we have a natural kind of pincer move happening here. And especially since I have some help right here in front of me with this jumbo, that's a lot of armor that I could probably use to keep my clip reload in good shape. So I was trying to perma track that T-34, but I missed the second shot in the drive wheel. So I go ahead and put 3 in real quick, which is, like I said, it's a really nice burst. So now I can just back up, and exactly like I was planning to do, I'm just using this jumbo as cover to reload my clip. Unfortunately, he is not angling his tank and giving them a perfect shot, so he's probably not going to last, but I'm trying to get as much damage as possible. I wanted to shoot the other ones because they were lower health, but because of the angles here, I didn't want to sacrifice health because I knew I was going to need to back up and I could be in a little bit of trouble there, so I'm trying to conserve my health instead. So I go ahead, and again, that clip really just doesn't feel that bad compared to other tanks to get the reload in there. So I'm shooting at the drive wheel, hoping that would make him miss his shot. It doesn't miss the shot, but then I can go ahead and push right through, get 2 kills in 1 clip, which is pretty fantastic. We're going to be entertained by this T1 Heavy. He talks a lot through the rest of the way. I like how he started it with a Wallet Warrior, and then instantly it was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And it's just kind of funny how these happen sometimes when I have an early release tank. So unfortunately take that shot from the Sioux. I should have known from the minimap where he was, but I honestly kind of thought he was going after the 85. So now I'm in a 1 versus 3 situation. I've got 1 more loaded. I don't want to waste the time because if this MT25 gets away from me, it could be bad. So I need to push him really hard because I am worried he has the autoloader, which could delete me in 1 clip. So that works out perfectly. And now I've got 2 tanks left. I have no clue how much health they have left. I don't know exactly where they are. Because the pen isn't necessarily great and I can see what they are. They're both heavies. I go ahead and load the APCR. And honestly, I was hoping to sneak in and get a few shots. Running into this T14 here was kind of worst case scenario because he's got good armor. So I'm trying to push through just to get away and kind of reset a little bit. Unfortunately, take 2 shots doing it, which is pretty bad. But I wanted to get to this rock because I knew that second shot came from that Cap Town area, so I'm not too worried about getting hit by him again. So I can go ahead and use that good burst damage, get rid of the T14, and now put on a one-on-one situation, which is much better, especially because it's a lower tier slow heavy. And so now I just want to reset the map a little bit. He knows where I am. I've got enough mobility, and I've got tons of time. I've got over 3 minutes, so there's no reason to rush it. He's not on cap anymore, so I'm worried he's actually rolling. I'm not really worried. I feel like he's probably rolling through the desert to get to me to help his buddy. So that's why I'm kind of swinging around here, hoping I can get a spot of him cresting the hill, because then I could maybe get a permatrack situation and unload my clip into him. But instead he rolls back on cap, so now I just am coming back in because I know I have way better view range than he has. And so I'm hoping to spot him in the open and again put a clip into him. Since he's on the base area, I'm just not sure if he's a good player. Take a couple blind shots, but since I'm not seeing him, it means he's probably behind the rocks there on cap, which is going to be a little bit more limiting to what I can do, and that's why I go ahead and reload my clip as well. Anytime with these autoloaders, it's all about clip management. I want, even if I'm missing, only have fired one shot, if I know I have kind of a gap of time where I'm going to be maneuvering, I like to reload it so I'm ready to go again. Actually, I'm not sure that I did there, but that's still general concept. So he's sitting in a nice open spot for me, so I go ahead and finish that clip off. I know I can get him in one more clip, and actually I thought I was hull down there, that I misread the edge of the hill, so that was a bad shot to take. It wasn't necessary at all, but I just kind of got unlucky there and been reading it wrong. But I know the reaction time on a Churchill isn't great, and since he misfires, I can go ahead and come in and get those shots. Unfortunately bounce one, so I have to reload the clip again, but I know I only need kind of one more penetrating shot there. And this is where just having the 6 degrees of gun depression helps. It's just enough to kind of work over this ridge line and not be in bad shape. So I'm able to go ahead and finish that off for a nice Koblenov. So like I said, I'm actually really enjoying this tank. I don't know why I am. I feel like I shouldn't, because this tank is kind of vanilla. But for whatever reason, it's working really well for me, so you'll just have to decide if it's something that's going to work for you as well. So enjoy the event, have good holidays, and take care, guys.